Captain Jake Morrison stood in the cold metal corridor of the space station orbiting Jupiter. The lights flickered as he walked toward the meeting room. His boots made soft sounds on the floor. He carried a datapad in his hands. The information on it would change everything. 50 years had passed since the aliens first came to Earth. Jake remembered the stories his grandfather told him about that day. The whole world had watched as huge ships appeared in the sky above major cities. The aliens did not come to attack. They came to talk. The Galactic Council represented 12 different alien species from across the galaxy. They ruled over hundreds of worlds and controlled all the major trade routes in space. When they arrived at Earth, humans thought it was the greatest day in their history. Finally, humanity would join the larger community of intelligent life in the universe. Ambassador Lisa Carter had been chosen to represent all of humanity. She was smart, calm, and spoke many languages. For 6 months she worked with the aliens. She showed them human art, music, and science. She explained how humans had gone from cave dwellers to space travelers in just a few thousand years. She talked about human dreams of exploring the stars and meeting other intelligent life. The aliens seemed interested. They asked many questions about human culture and technology. They visited human cities and space stations. Some humans began learning alien languages. Trade agreements were discussed. It looked like humanity would soon become the 13th member of the Galactic Council, but then came the rejection. Jake opened the datapad and read the message that had arrived that morning. It was from Dr. Helen Brooks, the chief scientist, working on the secret project. Her message was simple but important. The test was successful. We are ready for the next phase. High Counselor Veltar had delivered the Council's decision on a cold Tuesday morning in Geneva. The alien looked like a tall crystal sculpture that could move and speak. His voice sounded like music, but his words cut like knives. After careful consideration, the Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's application for membership. Veltar had said, "Your species has been rejected." The room had gone silent. Ambassador Carter had stood up slowly, her face pale. "May I ask why?" she had asked. "Humanity is too primitive for galactic civilization," the alien had replied. "Your species shows violent tendencies that make you unsuitable for peaceful coexistence with advanced races. You fight wars over resources, territory, and ideas. You destroy your own environment. You show no signs of evolving beyond these basic instincts." The rejection had continued for several more minutes. The aliens called humans unpredictable, dangerous, and backward. They said humanity needed at least another 1,000 years of development before they could be considered for membership. Until then, humans would be banned from all council space. Within a year, the consequences became clear. Human colonies beyond the solar system were forced to evacuate. The few humans who had been living on alien worlds were sent back to Earth. All trade stopped. The advanced technology that aliens had been sharing with humans was taken away. Earth became a prison. Humanity was alone again, but some humans refused to accept defeat. Dr. Helen Brooks had been one of the scientists working with alien technology before the rejection. She was brilliant and stubborn. When the aliens left, they took most of their technology with them, but they could not take everything. Small pieces remained hidden in human laboratories. Broken devices that had been thrown away. Computer files that had been copied in secret. Helen gathered a team of the best human scientists and engineers. They worked in secret facilities built inside asteroids and on the moons of the outer planets. Their mission was simple: learn everything they could about alien technology and make it better. Jake Morrison had been a young pilot when the rejection happened. He had dreamed of flying between the stars and visiting alien worlds. Instead, he found himself joining a secret military project. Humanity was building a fleet, but not the kind the aliens expected. The years passed slowly. On Earth, most people tried to forget about the aliens. They focused on their own lives and their own problems. But in the hidden bases scattered throughout the solar system, thousands of humans worked day and night on a single goal: proving the aliens wrong. Commander Rick Taylor, ran the military side of the project. He had been a Special Forces soldier before the rejection. Now he trained human fighters to use weapons and tactics the aliens had never seen. His soldiers learned to fight in zero gravity, in poisonous atmospheres, and in conditions that would kill most living things. The aliens thought humans were too violent. Rick planned to show them just how violent humans could be when they had a good reason. Dr. Helen Brooks made breakthrough after breakthrough. Human scientists did not just copy alien technology, they improved it. They made it faster, stronger, and more efficient. Human fusion reactors burned hotter than anything the aliens had built. Human computers processed information faster than alien systems. Human weapons hit harder than alien defenses could handle. The best part was that the aliens had no idea what humanity was doing. They thought Earth was still isolated and helpless. They believed humans were still using primitive rockets and simple weapons. They had forgotten about humanity completely. That was their mistake. Jake reached the meeting room and opened the door. Inside, the other commanders were waiting for him. Admiral Claire Davis sat at the head of the table. Her hair was gray now, but her eyes were still sharp. She had been planning this moment for 20 years. "Gentlemen, ladies," she said as Jake took his seat, "today we begin the final phase. In 6 months, humanity returns to the galaxy. But this time, we will not be asking for permission to join. We will be taking our rightful place as the rulers of known space." Jake smiled. The aliens had called humanity too primitive and too violent for galactic civilization. Soon they would learn that those same qualities made humans the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The rejection that had humiliated humanity 50 years ago would become the foundation of their greatest victory. The meeting began, and Jake listened as the final plans were explained. Humanity had spent 5 decades preparing for this moment. Now, it was time to show the galaxy what happened when you underestimated the human spirit. Dr. Helen Brooks walked slowly through the hidden shipyard built inside Titan's thick atmosphere. Her old legs moved carefully on the metal walkways, but her mind was still sharp as a blade. Around her, massive ships took shape in the darkness. These were not the elegant vessels the aliens built. These were weapons of war, designed by humans who had learned to hate. 25 years had passed since the Great Rejection. Helen was now 73 years old, with gray hair and wrinkled hands, but she had lived to see her dream become reality. Humanity had not just survived the alien insult. They had grown stronger. "Dr. Brooks, the test results are ready," said Dr. Amy Foster, walking up behind her. Amy was Helen's student and the brightest mind of the new generation. She carried a data pad filled with numbers that would make the aliens tremble. "Show me," Helen said, taking the pad with steady hands. The numbers were beautiful. Human fusion reactors now burned 3 times hotter than the best alien power sources. Human armor could absorb energy weapons that would melt alien ships. Human computers could think faster than any alien artificial intelligence. But the most important number was at the bottom of the report. 0 alien ships had detected the human fleet during the latest test. "Perfect," Helen whispered. "They still have no idea we exist." In another part of the shipyard, Commander Rick Taylor stood before his elite soldiers. These men and women represented the future of human warfare. They wore black armor that made them look like shadows with glowing eyes. Each soldier had been enhanced with technology that made them faster, stronger, and smarter than any normal human. "Listen carefully," Rick said to his troops. "In 6 months, we will face enemies who think we are still using gunpowder and steel. They believe humans are weak and slow. They think we fight like animals." Lieutenant Karen Stone raised her hand. She was small but deadly, with reflexes enhanced to superhuman levels. "Sir, what if they are right? What if we are animals?" Rick smiled. "Then we will show them that animals can be very dangerous when they are smart animals." The soldiers laughed. They had trained for years in simulated alien environments. They knew how each alien species fought. They knew their weaknesses. Most importantly, they knew something the aliens had forgotten. Humans were the only species in the galaxy that had evolved as hunters. Sergeant Ben Parker stepped forward. He was a big man with scars on his face from training accidents. "Sir, my team is ready to test the new weapons." "Good," Rick replied. "Remember, we are not just soldiers anymore. We are the instrument of human revenge. Every alien who ever laughed at humanity will learn to fear that laughter." Across the solar system, on a space station hidden in the asteroid belt, Captain Jake Morrison reviewed the final ship designs with his engineering team. The HMS Vengeance was nearly complete. It was humanity's flagship, built to carry the message that humans had returned to claim their place in the galaxy. "The weapon systems are ready, Captain," reported Chief Engineer Carol Banks. She had worked without sleep for 3 days to finish the installation. "Our main guns can punch through any known alien shield. Our missiles can track targets across multiple star systems. And our defensive systems can absorb punishment that would destroy an entire alien fleet." Jake nodded as he studied the ship's blueprints. The Vengeance was beautiful in a way that aliens would never understand. Where alien ships were smooth and artistic, human ships were covered with armor and weapons. Where alien ships relied on grace and speed, human ships were built to take damage and keep fighting. "What about the surprise factor?" Jake asked. "Complete," Carol replied with a grin. "Our ships look nothing like any known design. When the aliens see us coming, they will have no idea what they are facing until it is too late." On Earth's moon, in a facility buried deep underground, Maria Santos prepared for her mission. She had spent 5 years living among the aliens as a trader and merchant. Her job was to gather intelligence and prepare for the day when humanity would strike back. Maria was small and quiet, the kind of person aliens barely noticed. That had been her greatest advantage. She had walked through alien cities, listened to alien conversations, and learned alien secrets. Now she knew exactly where to hit them where it would hurt the most. "The signal devices are ready," she reported to Admiral Claire Davis through an encrypted communication link. "When you give the word, every major alien world will know that humanity has returned." Admiral Davis sat in her command center on the hidden space station orbiting Saturn. Around her, displays showed the positions of every human ship and every alien target. She had spent 20 years planning this moment. Every detail had been considered. Every possible alien response had been anticipated. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked her staff. 247 capital ships, replied Colonel Steve Martinez, her chief of staff. "Each one more powerful than anything the aliens have ever built, plus 800 smaller vessels for support and special operations." "And our intelligence network?" "In place on every major alien world," answered Major Lisa Quinn, head of Human Intelligence Operations. "We know their military positions, their trade routes, and their political weaknesses. We even know what they had for breakfast this morning." The Admiral smiled. The aliens had rejected humanity because they thought humans were too primitive and violent. They were about to learn that primitive and violent could be very effective when combined with advanced technology and careful planning. Dr. Helen Brooks returned to her laboratory where the final preparations were being made. On her desk sat a small device that looked like a simple metal cube. Inside that cube was the most important invention in human history, a communication system that could send messages instantly across the entire galaxy. When the attack began, every alien world would receive the same message at the same time. It would be broadcast in every known alien language, sent to every communication device in Council space. The message was simple, but it would change everything. Helen picked up the cube and held it carefully in her old hands. Soon this little device would carry humanity's declaration to the stars. It would tell the galaxy that the species they had rejected and forgotten was now their master. "Amy," she called to her student, "it is time to send word to Admiral Davis. Tell her that all systems are ready. Tell her that humanity is prepared to take its revenge." Amy Foster nodded and began typing the message that would begin the end of alien rule. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, human soldiers and scientists made their final preparations. The species that had been called too violent for galactic civilization was about to show the galaxy just how violent they could be. The aliens had made their choice 50 years ago. Now humanity would make theirs. The silence in space broke as 300 human ships appeared from hyperspace at the same moment. They arrived without warning at 3 different star systems, each target carefully chosen to send a message that would echo across the galaxy. The aliens had forgotten about humanity. That mistake would cost them everything. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the HMS Vengeance as his ship led the attack on Zentara, the military headquarters of the Galactic Council. Through the viewscreen he could see the alien space station that had once seemed so powerful and intimidating. Now it looked small and vulnerable compared to the human war fleet surrounding it. "Captain, we are detecting alien ships moving to intercept," reported Lieutenant Ryan Clark from his position at the tactical station. 12 vessels approaching from the inner system. "They appear to be ... confused," Jake smiled grimly. The aliens had no idea what they were looking at. Human ships looked like nothing they had ever seen before. Where alien vessels were smooth and graceful, human ships were angular and covered with weapon ports. Where alien ships glowed with soft lights, human ships were dark and menacing. "Open a channel to their fleet," Jake ordered. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Colonial Fleet," he said, his voice carrying across space to reach alien ears that had not heard human words in 50 years. "You rejected us once. You called us too primitive for your civilization. Today, we return to show you how wrong you were." The alien response came quickly, filled with confusion and growing fear. "Human vessel, you are in restricted council space? By what authority do you make these claims?" "By the authority of Superior." "Firepower," Jake replied. "All alien vessels have 10 seconds to surrender or be destroyed." The aliens chose to fight. It was the last mistake they would ever make. "Fire," Jake commanded. The HMS Vengeance unleashed its weapons and space filled with light. Human plasma cannons, improved far beyond anything the aliens had ever seen, tore through enemy shields like they were made of paper. Alien ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries exploded in brilliant flashes as human missiles found their targets. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. When it ended, 12 alien ships floated dead in space, and the human fleet moved toward the space station without slowing down. On the surface of Zentara, Commander Rick Taylor led his strike teams through the crystalline corridors of the alien command center. His soldiers moved like shadows, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to dodge alien energy weapons and return fire with devastating accuracy. Lieutenant Karen Stone kicked down a door marked with alien symbols and rolled into the room beyond. 3 alien guards turned to face her, their weapon already charging, but Karen was faster. Her enhanced nervous system processed the threat in milliseconds, and her rifle fired 3 precise shots before the aliens could complete their turn. "Room clear," she reported through her helmet radio. "Excellent," Rick's voice came back. "Continue to Objective 7. We need control of their communication array in the next 5 minutes." Sergeant Ben Parker and his team had already reached the power core. The alien facility was designed to be impregnable, but the designers had never faced human engineers who understood alien technology better than the aliens themselves. "Charges set," Ben reported. "When this goes off, half the planet will lose." "Power, do it," Rick ordered. The explosion shook the entire complex. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power grid failed. In the darkness, human soldiers with night vision equipment continued their advance while alien defenders stumbled blindly through corridors they had known by heart just minutes before. Across the galaxy, at Nexus Station, the economic heart of Council space was under attack. Captain Derek Walsh commanded the HMS Retribution as it approached the massive trading platform. Unlike Zentara, this target was not heavily defended. The aliens had never imagined that anyone would dare attack their financial center. "Chief Mitchell, take your boarding teams and secure the central computer core," Derek ordered. "Dr. Reynolds, are your cyber warfare programs ready?" "Ready and waiting, Captain," replied Dr. Lisa Reynolds from her position at the computer station. "Once we have physical access to their systems, I can crash their entire economy in under an hour." The boarding action went smoothly. Alien traders and bureaucrats had no training for combat. They surrendered quickly when faced with human soldiers in powered armor. Within 30 minutes, Chief Petty Officer Sam Mitchell had secured the computer. Core and Dr. Reynolds was uploading her programs into the alien financial network. "It's beautiful," she whispered as alien credit systems began collapsing across hundreds of worlds. They built their entire economy on the assumption that no one would ever challenge them. No security, no backup systems, no protection at all. Numbers flashed across her screen as trillion credit accounts simply vanished. Trade routes that had operated for centuries suddenly had no way to process payments. Alien merchants found themselves unable to buy or sell anything as their currency became worthless. But the most important battle was taking place at Valdi Prime, homeworld of the telepathic aliens who had been most vocal in rejecting humanity. Major Alex Turner led the assault on their capital city, wearing special helmet that blocked telepathic interference. The Valdari had ruled through mind control for so long that they had forgotten how to fight enemies who could not be mentally dominated. When human soldiers advanced through their city, the aliens found themselves facing an enemy whose thoughts they could not read or influence. "This is impossible," whispered High Counselor Veltar as he watched human soldiers march through his palace. "How can they resist our mental powers?" "Maybe because we're too primitive to be affected," said Major Turner as his soldiers surrounded the alien leader. "Isn't that what you called us? Too primitive for galactic civilization?" The Valdari had no answer. For the first time in their history, they faced an enemy who fought in complete mental silence. Back on the HMS Vengeance, Captain Jake Morrison received reports from all three battle zones. The attacks had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations. Alien fleets destroyed, alien defenses captured, alien economies crashing. In less than 6 hours, humanity had accomplished what the aliens would have thought impossible. "Captain, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different worlds," reported Lieutenant Clark. "They want to negotiate." "Tell them negotiations are closed," Jake replied. "They had their chance to treat us as equals 50 years ago. Now they will learn what it means to be conquered by the species they rejected." Admiral Claire Davis watched the reports from her command ship. 3 major alien strongholds had fallen in a single day. The message was spreading across the galaxy faster than light. Humanity had returned, and they were no longer asking for permission to exist. The aliens had called humans too violent and unpredictable for civilized society. Today, those same qualities had made humans the masters of known space. The species that had been rejected and forgotten was now the most feared name in the galaxy. The war for galactic supremacy had begun, and humanity was winning. 6 months had passed since the first human strikes and the galaxy was burning. Admiral Claire Davis stood in the command center of the AMS Sovereign, watching as reports flowed in from across known space. Red dots on the star map showed worlds. Under human control, green dots showed worlds still fighting. There were very few green dots left. "Report," she ordered Captain Jake Morrison, who had been promoted to lead an entire battle group after his victories at Zentara. 73 worlds have surrendered unconditionally," Jake replied, reading from his datapad. "Another 41 are requesting terms. The remaining Council forces have retreated to the inner systems, but they're running out of places to hide." Claire nodded with satisfaction. The war was proceeding exactly as planned. The aliens had spent centuries believing they were the masters of the galaxy. 6 months of human warfare had shattered that illusion completely. On the bridge of the HMS Vengeance, Jake Morrison coordinated attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Ryan Clark, managed communications with 12 different human fleets as they closed in on alien strongholds. "Sir, the Battle of Kepler's Gate is beginning," Ryan reported. "We're facing a Council fleet 3 times our size." "Good," Jake replied calmly. "Time to show them why size doesn't matter when you're fighting humans." The battle that followed became legendary among human forces. The alien fleet moved in perfect formation, their ships arranged in geometric patterns that looked beautiful. but were completely predictable. The human ships attacked like a pack of wolves, coordinating their assault through instant communication networks that the aliens couldn't intercept or understand. Jake's flagship led the charge directly into the center of the alien formation. Alien commanders expected him to retreat when faced with overwhelming numbers. Instead, he accelerated. Human ships scattered in all directions, each one following a flight path that seemed random but was actually part of a complex pattern designed by human tactical computers. "Fire at will," Jake commanded. The human fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons that burned hotter than stars. Missiles that could think for themselves and adapt to alien countermeasures. Energy weapons that turned alien shields into weapons against their own ships. The alien fleet tried to respond with their traditional tactics. They formed defensive circles and fired coordinated volleys. But human ships didn't stay in one place long enough to be targeted. They moved constantly, attacking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the aliens could return fire. In 30 minutes, the battle was over. The alien fleet that had outnumbered the humans 3-1 was completely destroyed. Not a single human ship had been lost. Dr. Amy Foster worked in her laboratory on the captured alien world of Nexus Prime, studying the weapons and technology left behind by fleeing Council forces. What she found amazed her. The aliens had advanced technology, but they had never learned to adapt it quickly. "They've been using the same basic designs for thousands of years," she explained to her research team. "They perfect a technology and then never change it. They can't understand that. Humans improve everything we touch." Her latest creation was a perfect example. She had taken alien energy shields and redesigned them to absorb incoming fire and convert it into power for human weapons. Now human ships became stronger the more the aliens shot at them. "Dr. Foster," called one of her assistants, "we're detecting an alien surrender signal from the Zephyrian homeworld." Amy smiled. The Zephyrians were the crystal-like aliens who had been most arrogant about human inferiority. Now they were begging for mercy from the species they had called primitive. Commander Rick Taylor led his special forces through the underground cities of Colliery Prime. The Colliery were hive-minded aliens who shared thoughts across their entire species. Rick's soldiers wore devices that disrupted those mental connections, turning the unified alien society into confused individuals who couldn't coordinate their defense. Lieutenant Karen Stone moved through the crystal tunnels like a ghost. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge alien energy blasts while firing back with perfect accuracy. Behind her, Sergeant Ben Parker's heavy weapons team destroyed alien fortifications that had stood for centuries. "This is too easy," Karen reported through her helmet radio. "They don't know how to fight as individuals." "That's their weakness," Rick replied. "They've spent so long thinking as a group that they forgot how to think for themselves." Humans never had that problem. The aliens had called humans unpredictable and chaotic. Now those same qualities allowed human soldiers to outfight enemies who could only respond in predetermined patterns. Admiral Davis received a message that made her smile. High Counselor Veltar, the same alien who had rejected humanity 50 years earlier, was requesting a meeting. The proud Zephyrian who had called humans too primitive for galactic civilization now wanted to negotiate for his species' survival. "Shall I arrange a meeting?" asked her Chief of Staff, Colonel Steve Martinez. "Yes," Claire replied. "But make sure he understands the terms. Unconditional surrender or complete annihilation. Those are his only choices." The meeting took place on the neutral world of Gateway Station, a trading post that had been one of the first alien facilities to surrender to human forces. High Counselor Veltar arrived in a small, unarmed ship. His crystal body, once gleaming with confidence, now looked dull and cracked with stress. "Admiral Davis," he said in his musical voice, which now sounded more like a funeral song, "I come to discuss terms for ending this conflict." "There are no terms," Claire replied coldly. "You rejected humanity when we came in peace. You called us too violent and primitive for your civilized galaxy. Now we will show you what real violence looks like." Please, Veltar begged, his crystal form flickering with desperate light. My people are dying. Entire worlds are in ruins. Surely even humans understand mercy. We understand it perfectly, Claire said. We just choose not to show it to those who showed us none. The alien leader's light dimmed further. What do you want from us? Everything, Claire replied simply. Complete surrender. Your technology, your worlds, your people, all of it now belongs to humanity. You will serve us as we would have served you, except we will be better masters than you ever were. Reports continued to arrive from across the galaxy. The Luminian energy beings had been captured using human absorption fields that turned their own power against them. The warlike Bruthery had been defeated by human soldiers who fought harder and smarter than any species in galactic history. The aquatic Depari had surrendered when human submarines invaded their ocean worlds, one by one. Every species that had voted to reject humanity was learning what it meant to face human determination combined with superior technology and tactics. The galaxy that had once looked down on humanity as primitive savages now trembled at the mention of the human name. Dr. Amy Foster sent her final report to Admiral Davis. All major alien technologies have been captured and improved. Our weapons are now superior to anything the Council ever built. Our ships are faster and stronger. Our soldiers are better trained and equipped. Claire Davis looked at the strategic display showing the current state of the war. Green dots representing human-controlled space now covered most of the galaxy. The few remaining red dots marking Council resistance were scattered and isolated. Prepare the final assault, she ordered. It's time to end this war and begin the new galactic order under human rule. 2 years had passed since humanity's return to the galaxy and everything had changed. The former Council capital world, once called Harmony Prime, now bore a new name, New Geneva. Human flags flew from every building and human soldiers patrolled streets where alien dignitaries had once walked in arrogant confidence. Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the window of his office in the former Council building, looking out at the transformed city below. Children from a dozen different alien species played in parks while learning human languages in school. Alien workers built new monuments celebrating human victories. The galaxy that had once rejected humanity now existed solely to serve human interests. Admiral, called his aide, Lieutenant Ryan Clark, who had been promoted alongside his commander. Supreme Commander Davis is ready for the ceremony. Jake nodded and adjusted his dress uniform. Today marked the official end of the Galactic Council and the beginning of the human colonial authority. Representatives from every surviving alien species would witness the moment when humanity formally claimed dominion over the galaxy. In the Great Assembly Hall where the Council had once voted to reject humanity, thousands of beings waited in nervous silence. The chamber had been redesigned with human symbols and human artwork. Where alien banners had once hung, portraits of human heroes now decorated the walls. Supreme Commander Claire Davis walked to the podium wearing the simple blue uniform of the human colonial fleet. She was no longer just an admiral. The other human commanders had voted unanimously to make her the first leader of humanity's galactic empire. At 68 years old, she had lived to see her species rise from rejected outcasts to absolute rulers of known space. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her voice carried by translators to every alien ear in the chamber. 2 years ago, you believed yourselves to be our superiors? You called us primitive, violent, and unworthy of your civilization. Today, that civilization serves us. In the front row, former High Counselor Veltar sat with his crystal body dim and lifeless. The once proud Zephyrian leader now wore the gray robes of a servant. Beside him sat other former council members, all reduced to advisors and assistants under human authority. The species you rejected has proven superior in every way, Claire continued. Our technology surpasses yours. Our tactics defeat yours. Our determination outlasts yours. We have not simply conquered you, we have replaced you entirely. Admiral Morrison watched from the side of the stage as alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked angry, others defeated, but all of them looked afraid. They had learned what it meant to underestimate humanity. Dr. Amy Foster sat in the section reserved for human scientists and engineers. Around her were the men and women who had turned alien technology into weapons of human supremacy. She thought about her mentor, Dr. Helen Brooks, who had died just 6 months earlier. The old woman had lived long enough to see humanity triumphant, but had not survived to witness this final ceremony. The old Galactic Council spoke of peace and cooperation, Claire said, her voice growing stronger. But their peace was built on the assumption that they would always remain in control. Their cooperation required other species to accept subordinate roles. Today we establish a new order based on a simple truth: might makes right, and humans are the mightiest species in the galaxy. Commander Rick Taylor and his elite soldiers stood guard around the chamber. These men and women had become legends among human forces. They had fought on hundreds of worlds and never lost a battle. Alien children now learned their names in history classes, studying human military genius the way human children had once studied alien achievements. Lieutenant Karen Stone and Sergeant Ben Parker flanked the main entrance, their enhanced reflexes and advanced weapons ready to deal with any threat. But there would be no resistance today. The aliens had learned the cost of opposing humanity. Some of you may wonder about mercy, Claire continued, looking directly at the alien representatives. You may hope that humans will show the compassion that you denied us, but we have learned from your example. The strong rule and the weak serve. Today we are strong. Maria Santos, the intelligence agent who had spent years preparing for humanity's return, now served as Director of Alien Affairs. Her job was to ensure that the conquered species adapted properly to human rule. She had divided the aliens into categories based on their usefulness to humanity: the highly intelligent Zephyrians worked as engineers and technicians under human supervision. The telepathic Valdari served as translators and negotiators, their mental abilities useful but no longer threatening thanks to human neural shielding. The strong Bruthery performed manual labor on human construction projects. Species that had resisted human rule too strongly were relocated to reservation worlds where they could live quietly under human observation. Species that had collaborated with humanity received better treatment but remained under strict control. Let there be no doubt about the new reality, Claire announced. Humanity now controls every major trade route, every important resource, and every center of learning in the galaxy. You exist because we permit it. You prosper only when you serve human interests. The ceremony reached its climax as former High Counselor Veltar was called to the stage. The alien who had pronounced humanity unworthy 50 years earlier now walked slowly forward, his crystal body reflecting the bright lights of human triumph. Do you have anything to say? Claire asked him. Veltar's voice was barely audible as he spoke. I formally dissolve the Galactic Council and surrender all authority to the Human Colonial Authority. May your rule be long and prosperous. He handed Claire the ancient council seal, a crystalline artifact that had symbolized galactic government for thousands of years. She took it calmly and then, in full view of the assembled representatives, threw it to the floor where it shattered into countless pieces. The old order is dead, she declared. The age of humanity has begun. Captain Derek Walsh, now promoted to Admiral of the Human Commercial Fleet, oversaw the integration of alien trade networks into human systems. Former Council trade routes now carried human goods to alien worlds. Alien merchants paid taxes to human authorities. The economic system that had once excluded humanity now existed entirely for human benefit. Dr. Lisa Reynolds, the cyber warfare expert, had become Director of Galactic Communications. Every message sent between worlds passed through human monitoring systems. Alien populations received their news from human sources. The information that had once flowed freely through Council space now served human propaganda. The ceremony concluded with the raising of the human flag over the former Council building. As the blue and white banner unfurled in the alien breeze, representatives from across the galaxy stood and saluted their new masters. Admiral Morrison remained at the window long after the ceremony ended. watching alien workers begin the construction of a massive statue honoring human victory. The species that had once rejected humanity now competed to show their loyalty to human rule. 50 years earlier, humanity had approached the galaxy with hope and humility, seeking only to join the community of intelligent species. They had been rejected, humiliated, and exiled to their home system. The aliens had called them too primitive and violent for civilized society. Today, those same qualities had made humanity the undisputed masters of the galaxy. The rejection that had once devastated human pride had become the foundation of human supremacy. Every alien world now served human interests. Every alien species now lived under human law. The galaxy had rejected humanity. In return, humanity had conquered the galaxy completely. The species deemed unworthy of galactic civilization had proven worthy of ruling it entirely. And in the new order that emerged from human victory, there would be no doubt about which species truly deserved to inherit the stars.